This is one of the pianos that was in line to go into the dumpster in the same place that the Steiner tone was at. And this is a very special piano for you Chickering people. Can you guess what it is? Let's uncover it and take a look. Here's the legs. I think this piano has the most spectacular rosewood I've ever seen on a piano or anything. It's really impressive. Let's get these on here and set it up.
Okay, well, I have a very interesting piano here today. It's an American square grand made by the firm of Chickering and Mackays, which is doubly odd. Most people are familiar with the firm of Chickering, but this piano is from the very early days when Chickering had partners. And one of his best partners was Captain Mackay, who went to South America to bring back exotic hardwoods for the cases. And he was also a financier. The whole family was. But at some point, Captain Mackay disappeared at sea, and his son came into the firm. I'm not sure whether they came into the firm first or after, but they're distinguished by the difference of Chickering and Mackay and Chickering and Mackays. So this is the latter period, and this comes from 1841. What makes it a very special instrument is this big piece of iron in here. After Babcock's initial experiment in, a single cast iron plate for a piano, this is America's and the world's first single cast iron, one-piece cast iron plate for a piano. And every piano made since then has followed in the footsteps of this one way or another, Steinway notwithstanding. So this is the piano that's in the patent of 1941. And this piece of metal, as much as we're used to the idea, was kind of a technological feat at its time, because to pour something this high quality, this large, he had to turn to military industrialists, a cannon founder in the city who had a big enough cast iron foundry that he could pour this type of plate. And it's pretty unassuming after that. It's in a wonderful state of preservation. That decal is just immaculate. The things that make it interesting beyond the plate are, the technological fingerprints of the time. If you were to look closer at the bass section here, the first thing that would need to be pointed out is that there's just one bridge. In most pianos, modern instruments, the whole section with wound strings has been separated off for acoustic reasons. But this is 1841, and they hadn't started to do that yet. It causes some interesting scaling requirements, and the breaking off really did improve things. Another interesting detail on this instrument is the windings on the bass strings. If you note, the windings simply continue across the bridge through the pins. It's a very common practice for the period, but it was given up, especially in America, pretty quick. But again, 1841, I don't think, I have to look and see what the greatest invention of 1841 was, but this was one of the most technologically advanced pianos in the world. And everything's not so far different from what you might see. They don't have the Viennese levers. Chickering had little pad dampers, and I would imagine those. I suppose that's not an unreasonable thing to do. Here are a few notes. Such allowances must be made. And I am personally curious to take a look at the action, so take a moment and get this out. Hammers are down. Had some attention in the past.
Okay, let's get a table.
Okay. Okay, we have the action out in the daylight so we can get a look at it. And notice something interesting about it that's not common, but this is your basic square grand action. Because of the way the strings are laid out, the bass strings are close to you, treble strings far away, so that makes the bass keys short and stubby, the treble keys long, and cumbersome. If anything, they should be reversed, but that's just piano theory. This is in an amazing state of preservation. I'm going to have to spend some time looking much more closely at it. But it's an early, simple escapement action. There's nothing exotic about it. But it's very well made. All these brown parts are black walnut. I think even the shanks look, well, they may be old maple. But brown actions were mostly made up out of black walnut. Somebody's done some nice preservation work on it. I'd be happy to call this shank work my own. That's very nice. It's a simple action. I'm going to look down here in the corner. You just simply see that, for piano people, there's not even a let-off adjustment in this. I think you have to have your hammers the right length and all your starting positions correct. But it goes up, as you can see, the jack just sort of moves constantly out from underneath the knuckle, and at a certain point it falls. I suppose this might be called a brown action. It has the flat underhammer. The shank has the platen here. Am I missing an adjustment? There may be something that can be adjusted down inside. I can't really see it. I'd have to take this farther apart. I think I will later. Make a separate video on the action, but as you can see, in 1840s, everything was lightweight, dainty. That metal plate in there began the process of allowing the piano to hold heavier strings that could pull harder. Therefore, you could make those strings drive into a soundboard firmer, a stiffer board, and you got louder, more powerful tone. And that all needed a heavier and heavier and heavier hammer to get that amount of mass going. So this was the last of the grass isle action. Everything had to get stronger and stronger after this. Though I've seen some Viennese actions. These shanks are twice as thick as some of those, so I guess even at this time this was a pretty beefy action. So everything's an evolution. Yeah, and this is just the, I don't know, the glory. This is why someone sailed to South America over and over again. To get woods like this. I'm sure this is a
It's quite sun bleached. There was a strap here, and it was in the sun for quite a while. That's why it's got a burn there, unfortunately. It's a little more yellow than normal. awesome rosewood. We might try to clean this up a little bit. We haven't touched it since we brought it in. But the soundboard logo still exists. And it says Chickering and Sons. That early. I think in the 1860s they switched to just Chickering. And then I think they switched back. Chickering seemed to change every year. Or part way through the year. They were crazy. It's surprisingly complete. The lyre is currently missing. It's misplaced. We know where it is, and we're not sure if we'll ever get it. According to the piano atlas here, looks like that would be 1841, I would say. Maybe 42. 4,700. I would say 1841. I've never seen an older one-piece cast iron plate. I believe this is the first. But if you know more, feel free to let me know. And I believe this is all original. For the most part. Wraps went right through the bridge. Pins.
I can rub it down the whole side, both sides like this all the way.
And we got wooden fronts. No ivory there. Pretty cool.